Hi everyone, God bless you, God be with you, God protect you. Here we are again in my channel, Curly Costa. For those who don't know me, my name is Keishla and welcome to my channel. So for today's video, I have a special video planned for you guys. As you guys know, I have my testimony video in Spanish, which I uploaded and I released back in November of last year, and it doesn't have any subtitles, and I wanted to make my testimony video in English for those who follow me and speak English or understand English better. I wanted to make this video for you guys so that you guys could also hear my testimony. So without further ado, let's just get on with this video. So like I said in my original video, I'm not going to go into deep details of what I went through when I was sexually assaulted, but I am going to give you guys my testimony from beginning to end. So we could start back in that day. It was June 23rd, 2017, and it was a day like any other day. I went to work. I don't remember the details of what happened before I went to work, but I know I went to work that day and I worked until late, until the store closed. And, I was supposed to. Anyways, so I went into work and I worked a few hours, and then it was time for me to go to lunch. As usual, when I went to lunch, I always either went to an Applebee's that was nearby, or I would go to the store next door, which was a Target, and that Target had a Pizza Hut inside, and since I love Pizza Hut, I would go there and eat most of the time. And then if I had any time left, I would just go around the store and just look at things. And that's what I did that day. I got my food, I ate it, and then I went to the store and walked and I looked at stuff until it was almost time for me to go back to work. So after I did that, I went back to work, and before I punched in for them to know that I was on the clock, I went and used the bathroom. So when I went to use the bathroom, it was nothing, it was normal. And then I went to my locker, put my stuff away, and then I went to punch in. After I punched in, on my way to where I was supposed to go, I had the urge to go to the bathroom again. And this is something that happens to me all the time. It's something usual that I've experienced for a couple of years. But once I got that urge, something in my mind said to keep on going back to work and then to go to the bathroom later on. Like I had a feeling, I hesitated, but I didn't listen to that feeling that I had. So I decided to go to the bathroom again because I knew that it was going to bother me while I worked. So I went to the bathroom, and I usually go to the bigger stall. That's something that I always did. And I did what I needed to do. I still had a few minutes, so I just stayed sitting down, looking at stuff in my phone, and I actually took a few pictures. And after I took a few pictures, I just stayed on my phone. A few people came in, but there was this one person who kind of caught my attention when I was in the bathroom, because once they came in, they closed the door really hard, like it was urgent. But I didn't pay any mind to it because, maybe that person was like urgently needed the bathroom. So I didn't pay any mind to it. I wouldn't have ever thought that there was a man, a guy, in that bathroom stall and that what he was planning to do. So when I got out of the bathroom stall, I went to the sink, I washed my hands, and the bathroom, it had the main door where you come in and out. Next to the door, the sinks, to this side, the trash can, and then next to the sinks is all the stalls going down. Um, for me to be able to throw away my paper towel, I will have to turn sideways with my back looking at the stalls and throw the paper towel in the trash. So that's what I did. And once I did that, um, I felt hands going into my eyes, just like this, and or a hand going into my eyes like this, actually. And I actually giggled a little bit because I thought it was one of my coworkers trying to like prank me or scare me or something. Um, but then I felt like I was being pushed back, and I felt something in my throat, and I tried to hold it, and I felt something um sharp. I had a knife in my throat. Um, that person that was covering my eyes, he walked me back to the first stall. So there's four stalls. There's a small one, a small one, a small one, and then the big one. So he took me to the first stall, and once inside there, that's where all the sexual acts happen. And I'm not going to go into detail of what happened there, but I was sexually assaulted. While I was sexually assaulted, a few people came into the bathroom. Nobody said anything, and then people went out of the bathroom. I guess somebody called my manager, or one of my managers, and let them know of the situation, because in the bathrooms there's not supposed to be two people in one stall or two adult people in one stall. And everything was going on inside that stall, which again I'm not going to go into details. But at one point the door of the bathroom opened, and I heard my manager, which I knew. I knew my manager. We spoke all the time, and he opened the door and he was like, "I'm calling the police. There's not supposed to be two people in one stall." And once I heard his voice, I got up from the stall because the guy was sitting down. I was sitting on top of him. He was covering my eyes with my apron, and I got up. I don't know where the knife was, but I got up and I tried to open the door, and he slammed it and closed the door again. And then he put the knife on my throat, and I scooched down to the floor, because as you guys know, the stall have little openings at the bottom. So I scooched down. My feet were outside of the stall, but the rest of my body was inside. He was pushing me into the stalls, and the knife was still in my throat, but I was holding it. And I got the courage to speak to my manager, and I was like, I said his name, and I said, take my legs and pull me out of here. And then I would say his name again, and I said, take my legs and pull me out of here. And the guy, he told my manager, if you try to take her out, I will cut her throat. And I could feel my manager hesitating. He was in shock. He didn't know what to do. But I found the courage to say again his name, and I said, take my legs and pull me out of here. It's okay, because I was holding the knife. Once I said that, he got out of it and he took my legs and he pulled me out. And to tell you guys, I was completely naked. I didn't have any clothes on. The only things that I had was my shoes. And once he pulled me out of there, I was crawling, and when I tried to get up, there was a water fountain, and I hit my head with the water fountain. I continued to crawl, and then I tried to get up, and the guy was coming out of the store, and my manager and there was another girl there. We started to run to the front of the store, and he started to go in between the aisles. I went straight to the front of the store and holding myself because I was completely naked. I didn't even notice that. If you guys see, I have this side. I have this scar. And that scar happened there. I don't even know how it happened. But I remember that once I got in front of the store, I sat down in front of the paint department, and I was just holding myself, and I noticed that there was blood all over. And when I saw my arm, I had a piece of my skin and yeah, my skin just hanging there, and I was bleeding. And I was just like this, just holding myself. And I remember one of my coworkers um, that work in the paint department, he took one of the rags that they used to clean the paint. Um, Whenever some of the paint got all over the top, and they used it to clean, he gave me one of those to put on because I was completely naked. I remember that when I sat in that space behind the paint department, um I remember that I hadn't cried, not even inside the stall, not even while things were happening. I didn't even cry or anything. I tried to keep myself together, but once I sat there, I started hysterically crying, and I started saying, he raped me, he raped me. And people started coming to me and trying to help me. And a few minutes went by, and I saw the guy run. That day, the store was completely packed. The cash registers were like full of people. Um, and I remember him running and went in between the people, the customers, and he went outside. He tried to escape, but the police officer that worked at the store, he tackled him, or that's what I was told. He tackled him and he captured him. Um, after I was sitting there, the police was called, the ambulance was called. I was put in a stretcher. I was taken to the hospital. When I was in the hospital, they did a bunch of tests that they have to do when somebody is sexually assaulted. And the detectives came in, they asked me questions, and after they did all that, I was able to go home. So the battle wasn't over once I got home. Um, I've dealt with a lot of emotions, a lot of things that came um, with the sexual assault. And until this day, this is something that I will have to deal with the rest of my life. But I've found healing in God. God has given me healing. And He's my rock. If it wasn't for Him, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be alive. If it wasn't for Him, I don't know where I would be. I really don't know where I would be. I'm so grateful to God for giving me this strength to be able to overcome, to be able to heal, um, to be able to keep the strength that only comes from Him, be more at peace. Um, yeah, it's all because of Him. This has not been because of my strength. It has not been because of me. It has been all because of Him. So that is what happened to me. That is my testimony. It's been a hard road. When you guys see this video, it's going to be the day after my sexual assault. It's been 5 years. So June 23rd, 2022 turns it into 5 years since that moment. And that's what happened to me. And that is my testimony. That's what I went through. I remember when I was in that stall, I constantly had a prayer in my head, and I would tell God, God, do not let him do what he came here to do. And I would repeat it. That would be my constant prayer when I was inside that stall. And I know that the enemy wanted things to turn out differently. The reason why he used that person to go and harm me wasn't just to assault me sexually, but to kill me. But he was not able to kill me because that was not God's plan. And I'm not supposed to be here today. If it weren't for the enemy, I would not be here today. My family will be celebrating 5 years of my loss. But instead, I just celebrated my 27th birthday, which I named my 22 plus 5, because when that happened to me in 2017, I just turned 22. And if the enemy would have fulfilled his plan for that day, my family will be celebrating 5 years. And not celebrating, but my family will be remembering that they have been without me for 5 years. So that is why I called it my 22 plus 5. Because those 5 years were added on to my life thanks to God. But God did not allow the enemy to fulfill his plan completely. But within the sexual assault, other things came into my life. Emotions, trauma, all of these things that caused many changes into my life. Um, and not only my life, but my family, because I wasn't the only one who suffered from that moment, but my family also. But I could tell you guys that even through the struggle, God has been there. Even through the hardships of the sexual assault, God has been there. And to tell you guys, last year, 2021, around this same time when my sexual assault um, turned 4 years, exactly 4 years, I had my trial, or the beginning of my trial. Um, it took 4 years for me to go to trial against this person who hurt me. And I remember that the first year, 2017 to 2018, there were complications and we couldn't go to trial. Then 2018 to 2019, I remember that his attorney, actually, his um, health was compromised, so his attorney had to change, and we couldn't go into trial because they needed to get the information and study it and all of these things. Then 2019 to 2020, same thing, we couldn't go to trial. Then 2020 came, and COVID hit, and they stopped many cases from going into trial because, COVID and all of that. And then 2021, at the beginning of the year, my attorneys met with me, and they explained to me what was going to happen, how it was going to go about, and other information they gave me to be prepared for the trial. And they prepared me for that moment. Then June came, June to July, and everything was going on. The first few days I couldn't be in court because other people were testifying for me. So they were testifying on my behalf. I was told that 13 people testified on my behalf, and then on his behalf, 2 people testified. It just comes to show that God will always have his children's back, always. And after all of them testified, I was called to testify. And I tell you, it was one of the hardest things that I ever had to do, to go into court, present yourself in front of a judge, and have attorneys dive deep into what happened to you, go into explicit detail of what happened to you after 4 years, and to have the defense attorney ask you questions or make things seem like they're not, um, just so the defense gets a win and you're the person who assaulted you to leave like nothing happened. But I remember after I testified, the day after, some other people needed to testify, so I wasn't able to go to court. The week after, I was able to come back to court and give my witness statement. So I was able to write down basically like a letter, a statement saying how this affected me and how it changed my life. And I read my witness statement. I I thought that I wasn't going to be able to do it, but I did it. It was hard, but I did it. And I remember sitting in court before the judge gave his verdict, and I was just looking above the judge, because if you guys have been into court, the judge is seated above everybody else, and I was looking above the judge, and I was in my head praying, and I was like, God, he is in his um earthly throne, because it looks like a throne. He's seated in his earthly throne, but you are seated in your heavenly throne. Let your will be done, and I will accept anything that um you want to be done. I will accept your will. And when I heard the the judge said delinquent, um, because the person who assaulted me back then, I was 22, he was 14 years old, 13 to 14 years old. So basically a child that didn't look like a child. But it was a juvenile case, and they named it different. So instead of saying guilty and not guilty, they say delinquent or not delinquent for guilty or not guilty. So when the judge said delinquent, I started to cry so hard. And I was just saying, thank you, Lord, thank you, Lord, thank you, Lord. And I was just crying. And one of the hardest part is that my mom was there, and she had to hear in explicit detail everything that happened to me. So she's the only person that knows exactly what happened to me and that heard me testify. And I know that was super hard for her, as well as it was super hard for me. But to have her there as my support, I can't thank God enough. But God gave me justice, and I know that there's so many women and men who don't get the justice that they deserve for what happened to them, and that really saddens me. And I made it my mission to pray over and pray for all of the people who have gone through, are going through a situation similar to mine, and that they have to present themselves in front of a judge to testify against the person who harmed them. I prayed for all of those people who have not gotten the justice that they deserve, or who have been um, really badly not given justice by the justice system, because I know there's so many who don't get the justice that they deserve. And I pray that God gives each and every one of them healing, just like He has given me healing, and that He gives them the justice that they deserve. Maybe not, if it doesn't happen through the justice system, for them to get the justice that they deserve otherwise. But I pray that you don't take justice into your own hands, but let God be the judge. Let God be the one who does the vengeance. Let Him be the one who provides the vengeance. It's way better to receive justice from God than to take justice into your own hands. Trust me. I had the opportunity to take justice into my own hands, but I let God be the one who gave me justice. I hope that through my testimony, you let God be the one to give you healing, that you let God be the one who gives you your life back, that gives you strength, that gives you freedom, that gives you peace, that shows you love again, that shows you how to forgive. Let God be the one who give you all of those things back, because you deserve it. You don't deserve to feel depressed. You don't deserve to feel suicidal. You don't deserve to feel all that trauma and not have something that helps you ease the pain, remove the pain from your life. But God has given me all of those things, and I know He could give it to you. If you allow Him to, He is able. He is more than able to do that for you. I hope that my testimony helps someone and edifies someone into trusting God and letting Him have the last say, because His say is way better than our say. God bless you guys. God protect you. God be with you. I hope that you guys, that my testimony edifies your life, helps you in some way, and that God uses it for His glory and His glory alone. Thank you guys for seeing my video. God bless you. God be with you. God protect you. And this is until the next one. Bye.